Why do we work hard to solve small problems? Why do we reinvent ourselves and our clients over and over? And why are we giving away marketing strategy for free? It's time to bring home bigger paychecks. It's time to create the lifestyle we deserve and to make a greater impact. This is the Fractional CMO Show, and I'm Casey Stanton. Join me as we explore this growing industry and learn to solve bigger problems. Hey, it's Casey here, and I want to talk today about something that's, I think, very important and timely, which is about what to do as a marketer if there is a global or local recession. Now, I'm not an economist, right? And maybe you say, Casey, you probably don't even know what you're talking about. And maybe that's true, but let's talk about the things that we know to be true when there's an economic downturn. Right? We've been in this longest running bull market, meaning the market's been growing year over year, generally speaking, for the last 10, 15 years. We saw in 2008 a huge economic recession that was caused by the housing markets and things that I frankly don't fully appreciate and understand. But I remember what happened in 2008. For me, I had just graduated college, and I graduated kind of just before everything fell out. What that looked like was I had this college degree, a bachelor's of science in environmental policy, right? Maybe kind of a worthless degree in retrospect. And I tried to get a job. And I just didn't get the job that I went out for. Really, there's one job kind of in a sales role, working at Canon, selling copy machines, which would have been wild, right? Copy and fax machines. I didn't get that job. So I ended up moving home with my parents and mowing lawns and kind of going from there. The rest of that story, if you're interested in it, is in my book, The Fractional CMO Method, which you can get at fractionalcmomethod.com. But what's important here is that in 2008 and in 2009, what we saw was this huge economic recession that drove people that were overqualified to fight for kind of like mediocre jobs. You know, it's like people with PhDs trying to get a job in retail because they just couldn't find the job in their field. And then what happened was people decided, well, the best thing I can do during this time is reinvest in myself. So they went the traditional education route and they went and got their master's or they got their PhD. I have plenty of very smart friends who went and did that. And at the time, it seemed like the right move. Except when the economy changed a little bit, right, they found themselves just kind of clobbered in debt and also with a whole cohort of other people who had just got educated up to that new level as well. So this notion of during a recession, invest in yourself. Yes, we'll get to that. But the problem is that they did it in a very traditional way. And they did it in kind of this almost agricultural way. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to do things kind of as I'm told and prescribed. And my hope is that everything that I've been told my whole life will come true. I don't know if this is true for you or not, but when I was in college, I was told, hey, we have this really high placement rate after college. Well, they didn't really expect a black swan event of a global economic recession because of the housing market and everything that happened there. So that traditional kind of best practice, get educated, get a PhD, whatever, it's kind of a lie these days. Now, you could argue that in some fields it makes sense to go that route, but that's the wrong type of investing in yourself. So I want you to kind of hold on to that thought here. Now we're going to move to kind of another topic. And this other topic is you in marketing. So you're in marketing, right? Maybe you're an agency owner. Maybe you're a chief marketing officer. Maybe you've been inside of a business as a marketer for years or for decades and you just do really great work and you're thinking, I want to do something else. Well, let me tell you that what I saw happen in 2008, what I saw happen again in March of 2020 when COVID whacked everybody, what I noticed at those two times is that companies almost immediately stopped spending money on marketing. Now, I think that's a terrible idea. What do you do when business is bad? Stop trying to get new business? No, that's a terrible move, obviously. So a good move would be to invest in marketing during a down market and just kind of always invest in marketing. I think that that's a very smart move. But that's beside the point. What companies did was, I've got friends in the SEO space, in the PPC space, and on March 11th, on March 12th of 2020, they got phone calls from all of their clients saying, I love you, I appreciate you, I know you got a family to feed, but so do I. Please end our contract at the end of the month or the end of the term or whatever. And I had friends lose 90%, 100% of their business in like 48 hours because of COVID. I assume that would have happened back in 2008. I wasn't that dialed in though. So companies get scared when market conditions shift and they can stop spending on marketing. So if you're in a position of marketing, you may find that position getting reduced, getting laid off. Can you imagine that happening? Can you imagine over the next 12 months, we kind of slow walk into an economic crisis? I don't know. I don't know this stuff, but here's what is kind of on the table for me that I'm seeing. I'm seeing gas prices are high. Politics aside, wages aren't really increasing. Maybe they're increasing on the minimum wage side, right? We're seeing a more kind of supportive minimum wage for folks so they can afford the cost of living and everything, which is great. But we're not seeing other wages really kind of grow at the same rate of housing prices and gas prices and, goods prices. I was just on a website yesterday to book like a cleaning for my dog to get her shampooed and get her trimmed up and everything before a trip for the summer. And I got to the website and it said, be aware our prices have increased 8 to 22%. So I'm seeing the impact directly of service work increasing 8 to 22%, 22% more to pay for the same amount of like shampoo and washing. It's crazy. So maybe you're saying, Casey, there's not this recession happening. Yeah, okay, but I don't know, man. Do you kind of see that maybe something is going to happen as a result of this? What about people who are going to maybe default on their mortgages? Maybe, defaults don't seem to be high from what I'm gathering right now as I record this here in June of 2022, June 1st. But that could become a problem. We could start seeing people unable to make payments on student loans, on their debt, on their home. We could see the cost of food preparation, the cost of gas, just like kind of crippling lots of the economy. So if that happens, where do you put yourself for the most success? Now, I just told you that businesses tend to slow down their spending on marketing in poor economic times. I think it's a bad idea, but I think it happens. So what do you do as a marketer? Do you go reinvent yourself as a bricklayer? I mean, you could, right? But I think really where you should be focusing here is continuing doing what you're doing, but having multiple streams of income. Spencer Stewart noted in April of 2022 that the CMO role, right, someone in the CMO seat, tends to be there for 40 months on average. It's not that long. So my question to you is, how long have you been in your marketing seat in an organization? 3.5 years? If so, that's kind of the natural life cycle of someone in that role. I'm not saying that you can't keep that role for decades. You potentially can if you're great at it and the company needs it and it's growing and you're a great leader and all that kind of stuff. But just see that pressure. So we're just kind of like moving into an environment where there's some pressures that we have to be aware of. What do you do? I think you should continue doing what you're doing as a marketer, be a marketer, but ascend to the next level. Be that irreplaceable level, which is strategy. If I want design, I could hire a US-based designer and pay them $100,000 a year. Or I could hire someone offshore. Or I could use a platform like PenG or Design Pickle and pay a couple $100 a month for quote unquote unlimited design. So a designer, that's scary, right? Because I can get that labor anywhere and it's a commodity of labor. What about like copywriting? I can find copywriters. I can always find copywriters. There's great websites I can go find copywriters at. I can bring them in. I can pay them on a per piece. There's even websites that you go to and you pay them a flat fee, like $350, and they'll kick you out a couple different ad creatives with the copy on them. The image, the headline, and the creative for like a Facebook ad. Like those things exist. I'm not saying that they're the highest quality, but if you look at it, like that might be 60, 70, 80% of what a company needs for marketing. They could just run new buys of those kinds of ads every month or so and like do pretty okay. Maybe they're not going to break any records with those ads, but it's not bad. The one role that is not going to be commoditized is the role of the CMO, of the strategic leader, of the person who can assess where the business is, understand where the CEO wants to take the business, and then make that come true with marketing. That's what I want you to consider, how you can be in that role. That's the role of the CMO. It's not the role of the marketing consultant, because marketing consultants are short-lived and no one really wants a consultant, right? Consultant, it's pejorative. It's a gross word. Anyone who ever heard that they have to work with a consultant rolls their eyes. They hate it. You don't want to be a consultant. You want to be the CMO. But you know that your role as a CMO is short-lived by design, right? That's just kind of like what's going to happen. 40 months is kind of what you should expect. Hopefully longer, but maybe 40-ish months. So what do? Take on multiple clients. Take on multiple clients as a CMO, as a fractional CMO. You're going to be the fractional chief marketing officer. You're going to build and lead multiple companies. And you can do that bringing in $3,000 a month or $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 a month or even more with asymmetric upside if you want to get yourself in that position. That's per client. So you can bill, $30,000, $40,000, $45,000 a month with yourself, maybe working 30, 40 hours a week. That's what I think is a really safe play right now. Just like look at everything in the environment. Where are we at? We're in a place where there's likely going to be a recession here in the next 12 months. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. If I'm right, it's probably good to take the advice. And what does it hurt you to not take the advice now? Sure, I could be wrong. Everything could be fine. Gas prices could go down. This war in Ukraine could settle down and things could go back to normal, right? Maybe the COVID vaccines come out and in the fall there's no spike in cases and everything's back to normal and everything's great. Man, sign me up for that future. I would love it. And if it doesn't happen, what are we going to do? Worst case scenario. I got a family, I got kids. So I got to plan for my family's safety, right? How do I do that? Well, I can't bet it all on one company. That doesn't seem right. I want multiple companies, multiple streams of income. And maybe some companies are like fast growing and a little risky. Risky meaning it's the first of the month and they don't know how they're going to make payroll on the 15th. As long as everything goes to plan, they should be able to make payroll. Like that's a little risky of a business to work with, right? Those can be a lot of fun because the principals in the business are putting all of the profits back in the business, continually reinvesting, hiring great people, just being like leaders in growth. That's great, but that business could potentially burn out pretty quickly, especially in a bad economic cycle. Versus maybe a more slow and maybe a little boring company that's just not moving as quickly, that you can work and maybe you can't charge those high rates of 10 or 15,000, but maybe you're at 3 to 5,000, let's say, and you're supporting that organization. And it's a little boring, but it's going to be consistent and they're going to grow marginally, month over month, quarter over quarter, kind of regardless of the economic environment. If you can position yourself maybe in both of those kind of companies, you're going to be safe. You're going to be able to make the income, and then also have the downside protection of a company that's maybe a little bit more resilient to a recession. I would say that you've got 12 months. You've got 12 months before things are potentially really bad. And maybe less than that. Maybe you have 6 months. Maybe you have until the end of the year before things get really bad. Maybe things won't get bad. But if you don't have a plan, you're going to find yourself like everybody else. You're going to go reinvest in yourself, maybe in a traditional way. Go take a Wharton, 6-week program. I'm in Philly, so right, the Wharton School of Business is nearby. Or you go to Harvard, so you can get that accolade there. You go pay $10,000 for some weekend or 6-week class that you can put on your LinkedIn. You think that's going to be valuable? It's not. What's going to be valuable for you is attracting, converting, and serving high-paying clients on your terms as a fractional CMO. This is your solution, I think. Yeah, I just get worried when I see people not kind of prepare for this inevitable future. This is going to happen. There's always market corrections. We can plan for market corrections. Now, again, this might be wasted time and labor for you, but not that much wasted time and labor. If none of this happens, that's negative. But if it does happen, you'll be first. You'll be in the right place. You'll have multiple streams of income. You can afford to lose a client or two and still have a very high income. You can do the thing that everyone else will have wished they had prepared for. You will be prepared and doing it and making the money and having that level of like safety and security for yourself and for your family, for your loved ones, which I think is so important. Again, if we go through this cycle again, people are just going to like rob their 401k. They're going to rob their emergency funds and their savings accounts. They're just going to be left with like little. You have an opportunity right now to get ahead of it. And I think it's just really prudent. Nothing I want more right now than just to kind of kick it this summer, enjoy the warm weather. But if you're not building something, if you're not building notoriety in your niche as a fractional CMO, I think it's going to come back, it's going to bite you, and it's going to hurt. So if you want support in doing this, 2 ways you can do it. One, go to fractionalcmomethod.com and go grab a copy of my book. And then the other one is just book a call with my team. Go to cmox.co/call, cmox.co/call, and you can book a call with my team. We can ask you a couple questions, see if we can help you. You can ask us questions, see if we're a good fit to help you. And if we are, we can work together, and I'll personally coach you with my team, and we'll help you grow and win clients that pay you $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 or more a month. Okay, all right. Above all, I really wish you well, and I wish you a level of foresightedness to kind of consider what's going to happen and have a plan for it. Remember, there's 2 types of people. There's the people that life happens to them, and then there's the people who are in control of their life, right? Sure, we're not in control of every event of our life, but if we have a plan, life doesn't happen to us, right? We get to kind of do things with our life and make a plan and make it come true. That's my dream for you. And if you want help, just go over to cmox.co/call.
Thank you for joining us for today's show. For more information and episodes, visit our site at fractionalcmoshow.com. Go ahead and punch that like and subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. It means a lot, at least to my mom.